Thank you very much. It's time I updated my bio because I'm going to talk about another project today. I'm excited to be up here and talk to you about some great advancements that we've made with our projects. So we now have what we're internally calling the Renewable Trinity, and that is 3 projects. So the Caribib, which is a lithium project. We're not very active there. We're struggling to get the approvals we need from Namibia, from the government. So I won't be talking about that today. Very much focused on what we're doing in Portugal, where we're actively exploring. We're drilling now. We're on our 3rd hole, deep targets, but we're just about to approach the target zone in our 3rd hole, and I'll give you an update there. And our new project, which I'm very excited about, the Tisova project in the Czech Republic, an old mine, copper cobalt. Well, they mined it only for copper. They recognise that there are other metals there, but they never sampled for it, and I think that's a very exciting opportunity. All companies sit around and talk about what our strategy is and what we believe that we should do. We are very significant shareholders in our own company, the management. It's our belief that extraordinary value is created through exploration success. And there's one word to sum that up: discovery. It's all about discovery, and that is our sole focus here. We plan to be very active. As I said, we're already drilling on 1 project, soon to be drilling on the 2nd within the next 2 weeks, and if Namibia ever gets permitted, then we'll be drilling there almost immediately as well. 2 important things to focus on: very few shares, only 85 million shares on offer. When the company was on its knees a few years ago, it was funded by the chairman through a con note, and when we sold that asset, which was struggling, he paid himself back, and the rest of the money now represents our cash balance, which is in a very strong position, and we won't be coming back to market anytime soon. So well funded, few shares on offer. Our strategy, very much focused on the renewable energy industry. So that's not the generation of energy, it's the storage of energy. And look, whether you like global warming or whether you believe in it or not, I have my own opinions. The fact is that the renewable energy industry is here, and it's here to stay. Every one of you, I guarantee, is carrying around renewable energy in your pocket right now. It's the lithium-ion battery in your phone. That battery will soon be in your car, right? I have a V8 Jag. I don't want to give it up, but soon someone's going to make me drive an electric vehicle. It's happening all around the world. In Europe, it's being legislated for. It's a massive change that's coming to society. What do we need to make those batteries? Because already the industry has adopted the lithium-ion battery as the standard. What do we need? We need lithium. There's been a lot of lithium discovered around the world. Graphite, that was the first of these things that was explored for and very successfully discovered. Cobalt is the new thing. And of course we need copper, okay, because there's burgeoning copper need for the infrastructure. An electric vehicle has 3 times as much copper as my car. Okay, so whether you like it or not, this is happening. Time to get in now and make the money that we all want. So I'm going to talk to you about our projects. Our first project is where we're exploring in Alcatim in Portugal. Before I can talk to you about that too much, I want to just give you a little bit of geology, because in my exploration experience, you can't find something if you don't know what you're looking for. Andrew McNeil today got up and talked about the great Tasmanian VMS belt. He worked on it extensively at Rosebery. We've got great VMS mines all over Australia, Rosebery, Thalanga in Queensland, great mines all around the world. They're some of the best deposits to explore for because they have very strong characteristics, which is encompassed in their names. Volcanic, so they form in a volcanic environment. Massive, they have a lot of sulphide, so they weigh a lot. Sulphide minerals weigh much more than the standard rock-forming minerals, so they create gravity anomalies. And sulphides themselves typically have electrical characteristics. And you can see the other important thing about them is these bodies form on the sea floor. This is one forming right now off the coast of New Guinea. Okay, this is hot water coming out of a volcano, or sorry, not a volcano, a hydrothermal vent, but associated with volcanism. And that hot water, 500, 600, 700 degrees, comes out, mixes with the cold seawater, and the metal precipitates right there, and then gets covered with younger material. So we know these deposits all over the world. We know them right throughout geological time, from the Archean right through to forming today. And this is one forming right now. In fact, Nautilus Mining, had a trial at mining these things as they form by scraping them off the seafloor. Where should you go and look for them? Clearly, if you look at the world distribution, you should go and look at the Iberian Pyrite Belt, because that's the granddaddy of them all, and that's where we've chosen to have a look. And this is very much our target. This is the Neves-Corvo deposit. We have the licence next door to this. This is one of the world's the greatest potentially VMS deposits. High grade, look at these intercepts. 30 metres at 15% copper. Fantastic, high grade, massive sulphides. This was not exposed, so this ore body did not outcrop. It wasn't found through geochemistry, it was found through geophysics. Okay, these things weigh so much that if you stand on top of one and hit your 7 iron, it won't go as far as it will at the beach. There's extra gravity here. Now, it won't affect your 7 iron, okay, but we can measure that. Okay, we can actively measure that. If these things have so much metal in them that when we pump electricity into the ground, they conduct that electricity. We can measure that. That's called EM. I'm sure you've all heard about EM. That's what it is. We're looking at conductivity in the ground. So we can use these things to locate the ore bodies. We can look for the volcanic rocks that host them using magnetics. So we've got these great geophysical indicators of how to find one of these. There's our lease on the eastern edge of Portugal. So look at some of these ore bodies. Rio Tinto. It's not a company, it's a mine. Rio Tinto was formed in 1880 to go and mine here. They're still mining there now. Well over 300 million tonnes. Neves-Corvo, directly up dip from us by Lundin Mining, over 200 million tonnes at a fantastic grade, copper and zinc. What else do you notice? These deposits formed over 400 million years ago. No one knew where Portugal and Spain boundary was going to be. Why are there so many deposits on the Spanish side and so few on the Portugal side? Simply exploration expenditure. We believe Portugal is massively underexplored in that extent. So we're putting our money where our mouth is. We've got a host of great targets. They're all geophysical. They are coincident EM, gravity and magnetic targets. We're starting along the Neves-Corvo trend. We drilled 2 holes. This is a learning experience. These targets are deep and it's a learning experience for us. Our first hole, we didn't even hit the sea floor, which is our first target. Okay, we learned a little bit, we stepped away, drilled our second hole. We hit the right rocks, but no ore body. Our third hole reaches target in the next few days. Okay, now's the time to get involved. So we're drilling there now. The geophysics that we're using is a little bit old. We will probably be acquiring more geophysics over the coming months, and we'll be continually drilling. Some of the other important features here, massive, or not massive, but large oxide copper deposits. We believe that they are leaking up from the deeper parts of the stratigraphy along these very young faults. So these are younger faults that cut the prospective stratigraphy, and we believe that that's leakage from things at depth. So we've got geophysical anomalies, we've got geochemical anomalies. I was talking to a Rio geologist today who came by my booth and said, you know what, I drilled some of those holes. There's 9 historic holes in a licence that's 600 square kilometres drilled here. And he was a guy, and he said, you know, we developed some of those targets. We looked at them, we liked them, we put 1 hole in. And if it didn't meet our expectations, we walked away. Well, I would argue that you can't find a VMS in 1 hole, and we intend to persist, and we think this is a great area. Our next project is called the Alcatim project. We're earning up to... Oops, sorry, that's a summary slide, I beg your pardon. Our next project is the Tisova project. This is a new project that we've got in Czech. I tell you now that this is the best place to run exploration, not because it's in Czech, but because it's an old mine. All right, if you want to go and find ore, go to an old mine or an old mining district. There's been mining here. I was on site just a couple of weeks ago. There's been mining here since 1200. There's old pits around the surface everywhere. There was iron, there was copper, there was sulphur, all produced right from here in an area that was known as Saxony. Okay, about the time that the Saxons invaded England, no doubt they made some of their weapons to go and belt the Celts. So this was a mine run by the communists and has been lying fallow since 1990. Why are we excited about it? Well, we see it was a copper mine, and it was mined exclusively for copper. And despite their work at the time, they realised that there was copper, there was gold, there was cobalt, but they only ever explored for copper. And if you look at where this project is in terms of its cobalt potential, it's right in the industrial heart of Europe. So these signs are not where the cars are made. This is where the batteries for the cars will be made. These are battery factories that are either in production now or soon to be. So we are in the industrial heart of Europe here, and we believe that we have an industrial-sized cobalt deposit right in front of us. So it was a copper mine. It was mined for about 30 years. They mined narrow horizons of copper within a much thicker... This is another VMS deposit. It's a different style. This is called a Beshi style. Who cares, right? That's important for Andrew McNeil to know, not for us today. But it's a different style of deposit. And we know that there's copper. This is our sampling. Now, we can't get underground at the moment, and all the core, there was 200 holes drilled here from surface and underground, but it's all gone. And it was only ever sampled for copper. So what can we do? We can go onto the waste dumps and resample the sulphides, because there's sulphides everywhere. This is a big, thick sulphide system. But the copper-rich zones were not taken. So the copper-rich zones are laying on the surface now, and we've resampled them, and you can see, great. Well, obviously there's copper, but there's also very good grades of cobalt and fantastic grades of gold, I must admit. I was very surprised by how much gold is in these samples. So we don't know where they are in place at the moment, but we know that it's a big, exciting system. So this is a reinterpretation of an old cross-section, but this is based on real drilling. And what are we going to do? We're going to go back and twin the old holes. That's all we're doing. Okay, so this is not really discovering an ore body, this is rediscovering an ore body for different metals. You can see the size of this system. We know it's defined from underground workings and drilling for over 1 kilometre along strike. It's up to 100 metres thick, okay? And it goes down at least 1,400 metres that you can see on the section. I've got multiple of these sections. So this is an enormous system. I'm not allowed to tell you yet how big the tonnes are here, but do the maths yourself. 1,000 by 1,000 by 100 by the SG of the rock, that's the tonnes. It's a bloody big number. This is not a narrow cobalt vein. This is a massive system. Okay, and we are very excited. We'll be drilling here. We expect to start drilling on the 10th of September. Might be a few days early, might be a few days late, but that's about where we start. Look at the size of this. That is the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Okay, you all know that that takes a long time to drive across, and it's big. And if you've walked up on top of it, you know that it's damn big. This ore body, in comparison, is huge. Okay, so we know that it's got these metals. What we don't understand at this stage is the distribution of those metals within the ore body. So we're going there right now. We'll be drilling out an old ore body. I'm standing in front of one of the water outlet, the ore body, the underground workings, of which there are 30 kilometres of. So about $30 million of development pre-done here for us. Okay, given that most underground development costs around $1 million per kilometre. Has already been done. So if our initial drilling from surface is successful, we'll be pumping this out and drilling it from underground because we need to re-drill it. But there's a massive mining history here. We're well accepted in the local community. In the local pub, there was an advert for the local beer with a miner with his hard hat on, drinking the beer. I think that's all that we need to say about community acceptance. So start drilling any day. Through that, and you will have heard about this today, we'll be very active. Exploration companies who are active are the ones that you should invest in. So we are drilling in Portugal. Within a couple of weeks, we'll be drilling in Tisova. We have news releases scheduled, drilling releases, assay releases. Hopefully, and certainly in Tisova, 100%, drilling through thick zones of sulphide. So fantastic news flow to come. And Caribib, well, we'll be drilling there within weeks of getting the approvals if they do come. What happens to a junior company like mine with a market cap of less than $20 million if you make a massive discovery? This is what happens. This is why all you investors are here today. Not to get 10% from BHP, but to make a 10-bagger or a 100-bagger. This is the place, right? And now is the time to invest in a company, and it can be my company, it can be someone else, but it should be a company that's actively exploring, right? Where the drill rigs are turning. These are the companies that you need to invest in. These are two great Australian examples, Sirius Resources with a nickel discovery in the Fraser Range, and Sandfire Resources with their copper discovery to the north of the Archean and the Yilgarn. Amazing returns if you got in early. okay? So that's what we hope that we can achieve. I hope I've piqued your interest today. We are a very active exploration company. We are tightly held. We have cash. We're not going to dilute you. I invite you to come with me and join our journey. I invite you to come and see me at the booth. I don't know what number booth I'm out there, but I'm big and ugly and you can find me, okay? Come and talk to me at the booth. Come and visit us on site. Get to Europe and come and see us in Portugal and the Czech Republic. It's not busted ass Africa, which is where I've spent most of my life. So get out and hope you'll see you on the register. Thank you very much.